Alrighty, welcome in. So this video was originally going to be called Tua is holding back the Miami Dolphins, because watching the Miami Dolphins, you can clearly see that this team is ready to compete, but they are suffering at the quarterback position, and that's pretty much what's holding them back from being a top contender in the AFC. And being honest, I am not the biggest Tua fan, but watching Tua, it's like he's okay, he is solid, but he is not a guy that you're gonna win a title with. Like, every time I watch Tua, he shows you a reason why he was the number 5th overall pick in the 2020 NFL draft, but also he shows you why he can't lead a team to winning anything significant on the NFL level. Like, I'm not a Miami Dolphins fan, but I could clearly understand why they get frustrated with Tua at times, because the guy would make a perfect NFL play, but then go back and throw it into double coverage, and you're like, man, what was this guy looking at? He was never open. With that being said, I felt like the Miami Dolphins were going to trade for Deshaun Watson this offseason and become an AFC heavyweight, because as we know, this Dolphins defense is really elite, led by Xavier Howard, Byron Jones, Emmanuel Ogbah, Jerome Baker, and Christian Wilkinson. This is a Super Bowl winning defense if they can get a little help from their quarterback position. And when you look at Tua, I feel like they were trying to make him a game managing quarterback, which he wasn't being too bad at, but the problem is when they needed him to make the big plays in the big moment, he would never do it. And again, Tua was not bad in his first 2 years as an NFL quarterback. In 2020, he started in 9 games. As we know, they had the Ryan Fitzpatrick and Tua Tagovailoa swap out each and every game, and he finished the end of that season with 186 completions with 290 attempts for a 64.1 completion percentage, and he threw for over 1,814 yards and 11 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. So given that Tua didn't play that bad in his 9 starts, it gave a lot of Dolphins fans hope that they may have found their franchise guy. But I think the 10-6 record did a lot of covering up Tua's problems, because as an NFL fan, we don't care how our team gets the win, we just want the win. And for Tua, I think that's what a lot of Dolphins fans had in their mind, was like, Tua wasn't the best, but hey man, we were 10-6 in 2020, so we can only be better in 2021, right, with the second year quarterback, right? Wrong. So the Miami Dolphins started the 2021 season with a 1-4 record before winning 6 straight, and that has a lot to do with Brian Flores and that Miami Dolphins defense. So during the Dolphins 6-game win streak, Tua's touchdown and interception stats went like this: 0 touchdowns and 0 interceptions, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception, 1 touchdown and 0 interception, 2 touchdowns and 0 interception, 2 touchdowns and 2 interception, 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Reading off that, what does Tua sound like to you? To me, he sounds like a game manager and not a guy that's going to lead his team to the Super Bowl and actually make the plays when they need to be made. Of course, he can ride his defense and they can make the plays, but when they need their quarterback to make plays in clutch moments, is Tua going to do that for you? I personally don't think so. So with that being said, I thought the Miami Dolphins were going to trade for Deshaun Watson this offseason and they were going to become an AFC juggernaut, but the Dolphins made a move that shocked everyone.
Up to 6 head coach openings after the Miami Dolphins chose to fire coach Brian Flores.
So the Miami Dolphins, after 3 years, decided to relieve Brian Flores of his duties. And when I first saw this, I was like, what? Because it looked like the Miami Dolphins were on the up. He had them 10-6 in 2020, and after 1-4 start in 2021, he got them to a 9-8 record and 1 game out of the playoffs. So even though me and the whole NFL community was super shocked when we heard this news, it's always 2 sides to a story. So apparently, Dolphins owner Stephen Ross and GM Chris Grier weren't on the best terms with Brian Flores, and their relationship has diminished over the years. Per ESPN's Jeff Darlington, he said Flores' relationship with Dolphins GM Chris Grier and Tua had deteriorated to a really bad place, and Miami Dolphins Dolphins owner Stephen Ross said an organization can only function if it's collaborative and works well together. If anyone would know why Flores got fired, it would be that guy. He did it. So wow, man, as I always say, it's two sides to every story, and now that I know both, it kind of makes sense to me now. But do I agree with the Dolphins firing Brian Flores? Hell no. He turned that franchise around. But this is what I'm gathering from this whole situation. So the GM and owner for the Miami Dolphins wanted to keep Tua, and Brian Flores realized that he missed on Tua with the 5th overall pick. He realized that he was not going to win anything significant in Miami if Tua is his quarterback. And I can't say I disagree with Brian Flores. As you guys know, like I stated, I'm not the biggest Tua fan, and I think Brian Flores wanted to trade for Deshaun Watson this offseason, and the GM and owner didn't want to do that. They want to keep on to Tua because they feel like he still has a lot more in the tank. He's only in his 2nd year, going into his 3rd year. They just want to see what he has to provide before they move on from him. And again, both sides have their reasons as to why they feel the way they feel. So I think this was the best option for both sides, was just to part ways, because no one's wrong in this situation. At first, I was like, the Dolphins are tripping. They still are. I think they should have kept on to Brian Flores, and I personally would have let Brian Flores do his thing. If he was going to move on from Tua, let him move on from Tua. But again, I understand both sides, so I think the best thing for both sides were to part ways, and that's exactly what they did. And let me make one thing clear. Although I understand both sides, I'm with Flores on this one. This man turned around that whole franchise. He had them one game out of the playoffs 2 years in a row, and you're just gonna fire him because he wants to move on from a quarterback that isn't going to win anything significant in the league? Come on, man. And I'm not just a big fan of Tua. You also gotta look at it like this. Tua is going to be in his 3rd system in 3 years, and that is not setting your franchise quarterback up for success. So I think the Dolphins GM and owner just made a huge mistake, and they are going to regret it, and I do not expect Brian Flores to be jobless much longer. So we just passed Black Monday in the NFL, and Black Monday is where a lot of NFL teams move on from their current head coaches. So there are some vacancies right now that I think Brian Flores will be perfect for. Number one, the New York Giants. Although they're the rival of my Washington football team, I think Brian Flores would be a perfect hire for the New York Giants. And although I wanted the Giants to stay with Joe Judge forever just because the guy was a clown and he didn't know football, and as a Washington fan, it made me so happy that the Giants were suffering, they made the right decision by moving on from Joe Judge. And I think Brian Flores is an excellent nominee for their next head coach. I think if the Giants does something similar to what Washington did and make their culture a coach-centered approach, Brian Flores would be that guy. You bring in Brian Flores, he immediately changed the culture, he hires his staff, and he hires the GM of the Giants. That would be the perfect match for the New York Giants, in my opinion. Brian Flores is a defensive-minded head coach, and that's going to bode well for that Giants defense, which is already pretty good, and I just think this is a match made in heaven. And does that mean Deshaun Watson to New York if this happens? The next team that I think can use Brian Flores' services is the Chicago Bears. I honestly think the Bears need a defensive-minded head coach. They finally moved on from Matt Nagy after years of this man being on the hot seat, and he was an offensive-minded head coach. So I think they need to try a defensive-minded head coach, especially with how good that defense can be when it's healthy. That would be really, really good, and he can hire an offensive coordinator to work with Justin Fields. Oh yeah, this is a perfect match also. The next team that I think Brian Flores would be really good for is the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are always just right there, and they can never close out games. This team should be in the playoffs. I think if Brian Flores comes in and he changed that culture around and he shows them how to win, this can be really good for the Minnesota Vikings, and they can actually make some noise in the NFC North. So yeah, man, there you have it. This was a crazy video. We started by talking about about how I felt like Tua is holding back the Miami Dolphins from competing in the AFC, to then Brian Flores getting fired, to now talking about the best landing spots for Flores. So yeah, man, there you have it. It's me, your boy Juan Gotti. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you guys think about this video. Who do you agree with, Brian Flores or Chris Grier and Stephen Ross? And what do you think the best landing spot for Brian Flores would be? I'm out. Peace.